So I just finished Pokemon Legends ZA. As you guys may know by now, I was really enjoying my time with the game. I know that might be not what a lot of people are feeling about it, or maybe what you've seen online for those of you who haven't played the game yet. However, to a lot of us who have played the game, there's a lot to love in ZA. There really is. It is quickly becoming one of my top Pokemon games, and I don't say that lightly. I'm talking even with the retro ones in mind, but definitely for modern Pokemon, it's definitely up there. I will have my full thoughts on that out soon because I have a lot to say about the game as a whole. And don't worry, for those of you who love to just like hate on the game, there are some things in there that I will be criticizing because, you know, I love to be fair and criticize where criticism is due and praise where praise is due. This game, boy howdy, has such a mixed bag on all of that. One of which is a big topic that I actually want to bring up today, and that is the mishandling of Prism Tower in Lumio City. So here's what's crazy to me. Prism Tower is a big deal, or at least the Pokemon Company wants us to think it's a big deal. However, in X and Y, it was nothing more than a gym where you took like elevators up to samey floors and then fought a gym leader. Right, so not the biggest fan there. Game Freak seems to have this obsession with having really tall towers and then only making them essentially either one room or a copy-pasted room that's supposed to be different floors of that building. So Prism Tower, I went into ZA comically thinking like, oh, they make such a big deal out of it, but I bet you we're not going to be able to go in it, or I bet you it's going to be really boring inside, or I bet you they're going to mishandle it in some way, shape, or form, because we've only seen the exterior. We never saw any interior shots of it. So I got really worried even from before I got the game. And lo and behold, I played the game, and by the end of the game, this is kind of a spoiler warning. If you haven't beaten the main campaign, I just beat it. It's been like 2 weeks, so this isn't too out there for me to start talking about this at this time. So by the time you beat the game, Prism Tower is effectively useless. You never really used it for anything. It's just there as a monument before and after. And matter of fact, you never actually get to enjoy it in its full glory, because when you start the game, there's already construction getting built around it. So you can't go up to the tower or see it in its full glory ever. And as you continue and progress through the game, going up from Z to A, the tower, the construction around the tower gets larger and larger and larger till at some point in the game, the whole thing is covered. And that was an eyesore in itself. And I felt a little, I was like, okay, at least it'll be done with the reconstruction when we're finished with everything, and we'll be able to see it in its full glory afterwards. No, again, another spoiler warning. Again, if you haven't played through the ending of the game, Prism Tower gets destroyed. You never went inside of it. You never got to see it in its full glory or enjoy it in its full glory. I feel kind of cheated because I wanted to eventually have like a nice photo with my Pokemon and me and Prism Tower in the background, and it'd be really pretty and nice and cool. And the way that the tower reflected the light from the lighting engine and just the grand presence it had at least looked really nice, even though we never really interacted with it. However, by the end of it, it becomes a husk of its former self. And beyond that, it's deformed, it's destroyed. So there's like these ugly antlers popping out of the top, and it's not as tall as it was before because that was the top of the tower and it collapsed kind of to turn into those antlers. And there's this green moss growing on it. There's nothing inside. Everything got blown out. And now when you're going around the city, it kind of acts as like this eyesore in the background. It doesn't look that great or grand or cool or pretty, which is a problem to me. And also it doesn't light up at night. And this is the city of lights, right? So at nighttime, one of the nice things was seeing Prism Tower at least lit up in the background. Again, there was that construction, But let's take the construction out of the equation, right? There was the beautiful light emitting from the tower at nighttime, and the way the light from the sun would shine on it in the morning, and you would get that in that panning shot every time the time would reset to the daytime. But now it's just the ugly husk that doesn't reflect light in the daytime and doesn't emit light at nighttime. And again, is like this destroyed skeleton of the tower. It is not great. So what makes this feel like extra salt in the wound is there's not many interiors you can go into in ZA. There's not many. There's like somewhere between 10 and 15 maybe, and that's possibly me being generous. And so I thought for sure at some point, right, we're at least going to be able to go into Prism Tower. That's going to be like the final, most grandest interior that we could ever enter, right, within the game. No, you don't get to go inside. And in a game that's already lacking interiors to go into, and what's supposed to take place entirely within a city, it feels like a slap in the face or extra salt in the wound. I am not happy with the mishandling of this tower, and it's so Game Freak of them. It's so Game Freak to do this, to make a big deal out of something, even use it in marketing, have it be the like shining star of the setting that the game takes place in, and you don't use it at all except for one set piece at the end of the game, of the main campaign, which was like a decently cool set piece. And honestly, the tower looked its coolest when Ange was, you know, like deforming it and turning it and made it look like a monster, essentially. Like that was really cool. Could we at least have kept like the monster husk too? I don't know, something could have been done to make this better. Oh, and to top things off like a cherry on top, they convert the area around and underneath this husk of Lumiose Tower, of Prism Tower, into a wild zone. So now you have another circular wild zone just out in the middle of a city. It's so hard to tell which one's which already, even before Prism Tower got destroyed, but now it's even harder because there's another circular wild zone in the middle to go with the 5 that surround it. Or the 4, yeah, 5 that surround it. It makes a pentagon. I'm happy they made a wild zone there, but you could have done that with the tower. Oh, okay, and I know this is like very unorganized thoughts, but another reason this is extra salt in the wound and a slap in the face, again, is because you're promised at the end of the game a wish from winning the ZA Royale. And again, this is so Game Freak. It's so Game Freak to make you think that you're gonna have this grand choice at the end, and Lil Miss Tawny comes out of left field and apparently reached rank A as well. Is that even possible? What, she lost to Corbeau in the Jansynth's tournament. How did she make it to rank A? I don't understand it. But also, as much as I hated her at the beginning of the game when she was trying to streamline us throughout and not letting us explore the city, and then was also kind of a jerk throughout the rest of the game, especially to like Jacinth and stuff. I was like, why is she such a jerk? And then she was so nonchalant about the trouble she put us through with Corbeau and the Rust Syndicate. Hate the character. But you know what? I hate her even more because at the end, she makes the wish for us. We're given 3 options, all of which, every single one of these options, are things that the city's already doing. All 3 of them, okay? And 2 of them you pick, and she's like, oh, but we're already doing that. We can't do that. So it's like, okay, can I get more options? And then you pick the one that it lets you pick, and it's just to let the ZA Royale go forever. But it's like, I was under the impression that that's just something that happens all the time anyway. I thought it was infinite already. So they like shoehorned it into the game that it's not. And you guys want to know what my wish would have been? If they hadn't like forced me to pick what she wanted, was I would have wished to restore Prism Tower to its former glory. I would have loved to have that tower in the middle of the map by the end of the game. Why am I so hung up on this? Because I have OCD, okay? I have OCD. So when you have something like this eyesore in the middle of there, my first instinct is to clean it up. But we don't get to do that in the game. It's just there, destroyed, mossy, beaten up, non-reflective, non-light emitting. It's It makes me angry. It may sound so unreasonable. It probably sounds so unreasonable, but I am so angry about this. And there's so much love about this game, but this is one of those things that I'm just like, I know that this is only because of Game Freak. All right, again, these are very disorganized thoughts. So let me give you the final reason why this is such an issue for me. It's because you can tell that going through Prism Tower, or the entire interior of Prism Tower, as it would have been, was cut content. You can tell because in the story, right before the big climax where you fight with Zygarde, you have to go up the tower to get to Ange, whatever that is, or get to with Floette. You have to bring Floette up to Ange, right? So there's this whole story segment where Tawny tries to fight you on this, and she's like, no, but I want to be the one to do it. So I'm like, no, like, it's me. I've already proven I'm the best Mega user. And so she's like, okay, we'll have a battle about it. So we do a battle and beat her ass. And she's still, we finished the fight. And so I'm like, okay, now we got to go up Prism Tower. And again, this is probably why they kept it destroyed after, because they didn't develop this interior because of time constraints and cut content. So after you beat her ass to prove your entire point that you're the one who needs to bring Floette up to Ange in the tower, she says, oh, but I know I lost, but it still should be me. And your character doesn't push back on this. Matter of fact, he has that stupid smile pasted on his face that he has pasted on his face for most of the cutscenes in this game, like Sun and Moon style. I thought we fixed this in Legends Arceus. We even fixed this in Scarlet Violet. But yet, in ZA, your character always has this plastered on smile on their face, even when something serious is happening. And very rarely do they change it. Sometimes they change it. It's very rare. So she's like, I'm going to do it anyway. Nobody pushes back on this. She ends up going through the tower, and it's just a cutscene. And the only cutscene isn't even her like going through the tower. It's only her in the room with Ange and Floette. The cut content is real, y'all. Game Freak. It's 2025. You're up against games like Cyberpunk on the same system that also takes place in a city, only exclusively. What is going on here? And, you know, looking at the leaks for what Gen 10 is going to be, they have, I can say this honestly and truly, they have so much going for them with what they could do next. They had so much going with them for what they could do on the Switch, but they chose to use a 3DS engine throughout the entire run of the Switch's lifespan. And now that they are finally getting a new engine for the next system, they're just tossing out the foundation that they've built up here and going with AI procedurally generated regions, which doesn't make any sense. Okay, like, I'm sure there's going to be a region name in Land and Waves or whatever, the Wind and Waves, whatever the new game is going to be called. They have this beautiful new engine. We can see it in the beta that leaked because, you know, the Terra leaked too. But yet they are doing this procedurally generated thing. And it's like, I thought the whole point of ZA was for you to showcase that you can make a condensed spot of a world. Like, this was like a training exercise to them that they're charging full price for on us. And they're just still gonna scrap that entire foundation that they built up here, having the Pokemon live naturally in the habitats, having a very well-designed city. Well, well-designed in the sense that, like, it's very fun to explore with the design of the interwovenness is... I worded that so badly, but you guys get what I mean. It's interwoven really well, the way that you explore the city. It's not like a big open landscape that's bland and has nothing to see, right? You have memorable spots throughout. And I thought the whole point of this was for them to train that part of their, I don't know, team, because clearly they're all like newbie developers. Like, none of them really are that good at developing in a 3D space. They've proven that time and time again. Plus also being held back by this really bad 3DS engine that they used on the Switch. So what my point is that Game Freak has this really bad habit of like getting on the right track to something great, but then on the next title, scrapping it, starting from scratch and doing something completely different. And they lose all their polish because of it when they do that. And they lose all of the things that would be able to be included in the game. So they have so much cut content that didn't need to be cut because they're wasting time by starting from scratch every single time, and they're not building upon their foundations. Good sequels in a series build upon foundations set by previous entries in that same series. You can even look to Legend of Zelda, where the stories aren't technically connected, they're very loosely connected, but one Zelda game coming out after the previous one is typically an improvement and expansion of the concepts brought to you by the previous installment. They don't scrap the entire thing just to make each game feel like super extra unique, especially knowing that they're on time constraints, right? They build and expand upon their foundations. And that's one of the things that Pokemon doesn't understand, or Game Freak doesn't understand yet, is they can do these new things. They can have this new battle system, but start from what you already established previously. Don't scrap it and start from scratch every single time. It doesn't make any sense. And Prism Tower getting cut is just further proof of that. There's so much more they could have done with that setting, with the Prism Tower, and we got nothing from it. It's just exactly what it looks like at the end of the game. An empty husk of something that was supposed to be important. There it is. But let me know down in the comments if you also thought Prism Tower was mishandled in ZA. Feel free to explain why, and afterwards check out more of my videos like this one here, where I talk about the best feature in ZA that no one is using. Also, if you like what I do, want to support me, and have your name featured at the end of all of my videos, feel free to join my Patreon with the link in front of you or in the description, and join one of the paid tiers. I've been johtojonny, and I'll catch you all there.